So, we've got a popular nightclub in Nairobi, a series of absolutely brutal attacks, and now a whole city demanding answers. This is the story of how a place that was supposed to be for fun became a scene of tragedy, leading to its closure and a search for justice that is really far from over. At its heart, this is a story of a tragic collision. A bustling night spot, one of the beacons of Nairobi's life, becomes the epicenter of just shocking violence. A place that should have been about escape and enjoyment was completely shattered, and it all ended with the death of a young vendor just trying to make a living right outside its doors.
All right, so our story really begins with the immediate aftermath. Let's break down the official response to this spiraling crisis.
So the first major development was this. Authorities stepped in and shut the entire operation down. And look, this wasn't some small, unknown spot. This was a really popular club right in the city's central business district. A move like this is a huge signal that something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. But the closure wasn't because of just one incident. It was really a perfect storm. You had these incredibly disturbing assault allegations, all of them aimed at the club's own security personnel. That, in turn, just ignited massive public outrage and, of course, desperate calls for justice from the victims' families. And the authorities, well, they responded pretty swiftly. Police arrested 9 suspects in connection with all the violence, signaling that a major investigation into what happened was officially underway. But here's a really crucial piece of the puzzle. The key figures, the bouncer at the center of that final fatal incident, and the club's owner are apparently in hiding. They're now officially wanted by the police, which just adds a whole new layer of tension to this unfolding story. But behind all the headlines and the police tape, there's the real human cost of this tragedy. So now, we need to turn to the stories of the people who were directly affected by the violence. I mean, this just lays out the human toll in such stark, undeniable terms. On one hand, you have Brian Wendo, a vendor whose life was tragically cut short. He died from internal bleeding after an assault. And on the other, there's Kevin Karanja, a 29-year-old just out to enjoy his evening, who was attacked and lost his teeth only a day earlier. 2 separate incidents, 2 lives forever changed. It really points to a deeply disturbing pattern of aggression. So you have to ask, how did things escalate to this point so quickly? Well, the source material reveals a timeline of rapid and truly shocking violence that all unfolded over just 2 nights. This timeline just shows the terrifying speed of it all. It starts with the attack on Kevin Karanja. Less than 24 hours later, on Friday night, a completely separate fight breaks out inside the club. As that spills onto the street, the bouncers allegedly shift their focus to Brian Muwendo, an innocent vendor. And then, tragically, just hours after that assault, he was pronounced dead at the hospital. A shocking and fatal chain of events. And the narrative from people on the ground is consistent. Witnesses who saw what happened all reported that this wasn't just security breaking up a fight. They claimed it was a clear case of excessive force, being used by the very people who were supposed to be ensuring everyone's safety. Okay, and this is where the story gets even more disturbing. As investigators started digging deeper, it became pretty clear that the violence on those 2 nights might have been preventable. There was a history here. So here's the crucial points. There were prior warnings. The investigation uncovered multiple official police reports, they're known as OB or occurrence book numbers, filed at the local central police station. Every single one of these reports documented incidents linked to this specific club. And despite this official record of complaints, sources claim that very little action was ever taken. This number, this represents the total death toll now tied to incidents at the club. A grim and final statistic that just underscores the severity of what was happening and the potential cost of those ignored warnings. And all of this, the violence, the death, the history of complaints, it all brings us to the central, unanswered question that sits right at the heart of this entire tragedy. This is the question, right here. With a clear paper trail of official reports filed with the police, why did it take a man's death for decisive action to finally be taken? It's the big, unanswered question that now hangs over this entire investigation. In the end, it really all comes down to this simple, powerful plea reported from the scene. It's a call from the family, from the community, for accountability. And it's a reminder that while the club is now closed, the search for answers and for justice is only just beginning.